Hi everyone, I'm Jackie, and today in this video I will be covering my November predictions for SAT exam math. Okay, so let's just jump in. So per usual, you want to be familiar with these kind of questions. In the given equation, R is a constant. The equation has exactly one real solution. What is the value of R? Okay, so this is definitely testing the discriminant. And remember that if it says exactly one real solution, we can set the discriminant equal to b squared minus 4ac equals 0. But first, I want to put everything here um, in terms of 0. So set it equal to 0. Plus 21 minus r equals 0. And then friendly reminder for those of you a little rusty, a squared plus bx plus c. I know that a is equal to 4, b is equal to negative 48, and my c value, it's 21 minus r. And I always know I'm dealing with the discriminant because I have exactly one real solution and an additional variable in addition to x. Okay, so those are like tall signs of that you're dealing with the discriminant. Okay, so then you just have to plug it in. So it'd be negative 48 squared minus 4 times 4. My c value is 21 minus r equals 0. So 48 or negative 48 squared becomes positive 2304. This would be negative 16 times 21. That gives me minus 336. And then negative 16 times negative r, always be super careful with your signs, becomes positive. So this would be plus 16r. Um, this will simplify to 1968 is equal to negative 16r, and then divide everything by 16. And I have r is equal to negative 123. And that would be the answer. So, I mean, straightforward, simple question, but definitely be familiar with this concept because it appears on basically every single SAT exam. Okay, let's see another variation, more difficult. So this one, in the given system of equations, A is a constant, the graphs of the equations in the system intersect at exactly one point, aka they have one real solution. And then what is the value of x? Okay, so here I want to substitute this in for y. So I'd have, well, x plus a is equal to 2x squared minus 15x plus 23. Put everything in terms of 0. So this would be minus 16x plus 23 minus a equals 0. And then again, my discriminant is b squared minus 4ac when it's exactly one real solution equal to 0. So negative 16 squared minus 4, my a value is 2, and my c value is 23 minus a equals 0. And then let us solve. So 16 squared, 256. 8 times 23 would be minus 184. And then negative 8 times negative a, it's plus 8a equals 0. Subtract out 256 minus 184. I get 72 is equal to negative 8a divided just by 8. So I get that a is equal to negative 9. Okay, super careful. This is a trap because remember, we are looking for what is the value of x. This is the value of a value. Okay, so like always go back and read the final question with the discriminant because they try to trap you all the time. Okay, so then I would go here, plug in the a value. So I would have 2x squared minus 16x plus 23 minus negative 9. So careful, this becomes positive, which would leave me with minus 2x squared minus 16x plus 32 equals 0. And then since everything, it's even, I'm going to make my life easier. Um, Divide everything by 2, x squared minus 8x plus 16 is equal to 0. And then final step would be to factor, or you could put it on Desmos, do quadratic equation. For me, it's easier to factor because just to show, -4 times -4, positive 16, -4 plus -4 gives me the b value, -8, and I get that x is equal to 4. Solution. Okay, so discriminant, be super confident with it on the exam. If you see it, remember there's always the quadratic equation, an extra variable, and it will say something like exactly 1 point, one real solution, two real solutions, or no real solutions. Okay, also percents on every single SAT exam. In some capacity, you'll see percents. I believe you would see them in this similar capacity. So let's solve. For the positive quantities h, j, and k, 27% of h, okay? So right away, I'm going to be 27% of h is equivalent to 24% of j, and j is equivalent to 45% of k. What percentage of k is h? So let's divide each side here by put everything in terms of j, divide by 0.24. That would give me um 1.125h is equal to j. Then I can go ahead and substitute this in for my j value. So this would be 1.125h is equal to 0.45k. Because remember, I'm looking for that, what percentage of k is h, so want my h and k variables. And then divide each side by 1.125. And then I get, let's see, 0.45 divided by 1.125 is equal, h is equal to 0.4k. So what percentage of k is h? It would be 40%. Like h is 40% of k. And therefore, answer 40. Oh my goodness, amazing. Okay, another one. 13 is p% of 25. What is the value of p? I can use the percent proportion formula. Is over of equals percent over 100. So 13 is p% is what I'm solving for of 25 multiply. So 1300 is equal to 25p and then divide 1300. 1300 divided by 25, and that will give me 52 is equal to p, which is our amazing answer. A final one. Okay, according to a set of standards, a certain type of substance can contain a maximum of 0.001%, which will just be 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, phosphorus by mass. If a sample of the substance has a mass of 140 grams, what is the maximum mass in grams of phosphorus the sample can contain to meet these standards? So basically, I just need to multiply this percent by 140 grams. Just be super careful when putting in the zeros in your calculator. So this would be 0.0014, and that would be the correct answer. Amazing. So continue our journey. So be careful with percents. You're definitely going to see them in some capacity on the November SAT. These would be the ways that I think you'll see them if you're taking the November SAT. Okay. Also, if you watch my other predictions, including but not limited to October, August, June, May predictions, I think I always cover percent. So if you want more problems on percents, check those out. Okay. Oh, so inequalities also come up on almost every single SAT exam. So the point of this problem is that you're comfortable with the language of inequalities, and we'll do a couple more advanced applications. The minimum value of x is 12 less than 6 times another number n. Which inequality shows the possible values of x? So let's translate everything into the math into English. So is 12 less than 6 times, so 6n, then it's 12 less. And x is the minimum value of x is this. Okay, so this implies that x is at least 6n minus 12. So x must be greater than or equal to 6n minus 12. And oh my goodness, this matches an answer choice. It must be option B. So less than always means the value is smaller, right? Less than or equal to. Um, if I have at most, do, 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 do. Well, in this problem, actually, it says the minimum value. So let's just go over inequality language so that you're feeling comfortable for the exam. So minimum value means basically at least minimum. Um, minimum equals at least type of language, like x must be at least some number, which would translate to what we saw, greater than or equal to. So at least you could also see like no less than. I mean, more obvious would be greater than or equal to, which greater than or equal to could be module one vocabulary, but this is looking more complex in module two. Okay. Likewise, if you see like maximum value, because you could see maybe the opposite of this. So maximum would mean like at most, or perhaps no more than, aka less than or equal to. Okay, so that would just look like this. And it's just, language to be aware of as we do some more inequality problems here, but also for the exam. Amazing. Continuing. Oh my goodness, look, another inequality problem. If x is greater than or equal to -6, represents all solutions to the inequality ax minus 27 is less than or equal to 15, where a is a constant. What is the greatest possible value of a? Okay, so I just would take the add 27 to each side. So I would have AX is less than or equal to 42. And then since I'm asked for the greatest possible value of A, I'm going to put the like r most restrictive number that X could be, which would be -6, because X must be greater than or equal to -6. So -6 is the minimum possible value. So let's plug that in. Dur, 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 dur. And remember, important when I'm dividing by a negative, the sign's going to change. So I have a is greater than or equal to 42 divided by -7. Okay, so then our answer would be just that -7. So remember, if it asks for the greatest possible value of a, for me to find the greatest value, I want to take the lowest possible value of x, in this case -6. If it asks for the least possible value of a, then I would look for the maximum boundary of x, which I can't determine in this problem, but for a different problem that could ask that. Okay, continuing our journey. Okay, I had a student specifically ask about this question, and I want to show you something. But okay, so first, in a set of 4 consecutive odd integers, important, when the integers are ordered from least to greatest, the first integer is represented by x. The product of 23 and the third odd integer in the set is at most the value of 40 less the sum of the first and fourth odd integers. In the set, what is the greatest possible value of x? Okay, so this one, think if in normal circumstances, if you're getting consecutive integers, it would just be x plus 1, right? It'd be like 1 plus 1, 2. However, since we're asked for odd integers, I'm going to do x plus 2, which I don't like. You see, that would be like 1 plus 2, 3, and then 5. Not that that's what this stands for, but so I would do x plus 2. This would be x plus 4. And then the fourth number would be x plus 6. So that would be the representations of four consecutive odd integers. Then it says the product of 23. Okay. So 23 and the third odd integer, which would be, this would be my third odd integer. So multiply by x plus 4 is at most the value of 40 less. And remember, when you have at most, we said that was less than or equal to the value of 40 less than the sum of the first and fourth. So first, and fourth, odd integers. So then I would add the sum of the first, right? Which would just be like basically x, well, I'll write everything out, x plus 6. So then it becomes 23x plus 92 is less than or equal to 2x plus 6. Now I will subtract the x's on each side and it will reduce to, let's see, 21x is less than or equal to 6 minus 92. So, oops, I forgot sorry, 40 less than, so have minus 40 here. Okay, but so same thing except minus 40. So negative 126. So I have 21x is less than or equal to negative 126. Divide each side by positive 21. And that gives me x is less than or equal to negative 6. And that would be, so classic, negative 6 would be the trap answer because I'm asked for the greatest possible value of x. And I'm dealing with odd integers, so it would be -7 would be the next um, integer less than -6 that is odd. Okay, so that was amazing. And just to show you why I thought this problem was interesting is that a very similar question appeared on last year's SAT exam, except they gave answer choices. It wasn't a student fill response, but look at this. In a set of four consecutive odd integers where the integers are ordered from least to greatest, the first integers are represented by x. Oh my goodness, almost verbatim. And then the product of 14 and the fourth odd integer is at most 23 less than the sum of the third odd integers, which inequality represents this solution. So just to show, again, like four consecutive odd integers, we saw it was x plus 2, x plus 4, and x plus 6. And then the first integer is represented by x, and then the product of 14 and the fourth odd integer. So our fourth odd integer would be the x plus 6. So basically would be the product of 14 x plus 6 is at most. Remember we said at most is less than or equal to. So less than or equal to 23 less than the sum of the first and third odd integers. So first, third, which gives me 2x plus 4 minus 23, which inequalities represents a situation. Let's see if I need to expand. I do not. Or, well, this was really x and x plus 4, which simplified to this. But you can see that actually matches precisely option D. So perhaps a little bit easier than the previous one because we have multiple choice to help guide us. But you see how I had to do a set of four consecutive odd integers again. Okay, so moving on. So this type of question I've also brought up in previous videos. I don't know if this exact one, but very similar ones. Just really be familiar with random three-dimensional figures, such as all the ones I mentioned here in this video. So first, starting with this one. So it says a right triangular pyramid has exactly 6 edges. Each of these edges is 96 centimeters long. If the surface area of the pyramid is k root 3 square centimeters, what is the value of k? Okay, so this actually, I feel it's defined wrong because technically it's a tetrahedron, but it's fine because they give us the information, the problem that each of these edges, so it has exactly 6 edges, which just to show this would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, for the 6 edges. Each of these edges is 96 centimeters long, so 96, 96, 96, 96, guaranteeing that it's actually an equilateral triangle. And then it says the surface area of the pyramid is. So imagine what the surface area of the pyramid would be. Um, Remember shortcut for equilateral triangle. If I want to calculate the area of just one equilateral triangle, s squared root 3 divided by 4 will give me that. That's for one, but then I would multiply this by 4 to calculate the surface area because there's 4, right? One, oops. We'll just show 1, 2, 3. I hope you see like it. There's this one here, 1, 2, the back one, 3, and then the bottom one, 4. So I just need to get the area of each face, multiply it by 4, and that should be my answer. And then that's exactly what I'm going to do. So surface area, SA, equals 96 squared root 3 divided by 4 times 4, just to show the 4s would actually cancel. And I'd be left with 96 times 96, 92, 9,216 root 3. And remember, it tells me that this is equal to k root 3. So therefore, 9216 is equal to k, and that's my answer. Wasn't that amazing? Um, Continuing our journey. Okay, so this one, the study fluctuations in leaf water potential, samples of wood were taken from 22 trees and cut in the shape of a cube. The length of the edge of one of these cubes is 3 centimeters. The cube has a density of 0.250 grams per cubic centimeter. What is the mass of this cube in grams? So a couple things. That first, a cube, it's not given to you on the formula sheet of the exam. So the volume of a cube, it's always edge cubed. You should know that for the exam. Remember, not given to you on the formula sheet. And also not given to you is density. So you do want to be comfortable with cubes and density on the exam. And density, it's always a mass over volume. Okay, so my first mission would be to find the volume of the cube, which would just be 3 cubed, which is equal to 20, oops, ah, 27. And then it says the density. So density, it's 0.25 is equal to mass, what we're solving for, over volume, which we know is 27. So basically 27 times 0.250 will equal the mass. Let's see what that is. Which is equal to 6.75. And that would be my answer. Oh my goodness, wasn't that amazing? But main takeaways for this problem, remember, cube comes up a lot in the exam, not in the formula sheet. You should be familiar with the volume. And density occasionally comes up and not provided on the formula sheet. So make sure you know the formula for density and for the volume of the cube. Amazing. Continuing our journey. Okay, a triangular prism has a height of 9 centimeters and a volume 234 centimeters cubed. What is the area in the centimeters squared of the base of the prism? The volume of the triangular prism is equal to base times height, where b is the area of the base and height is the height of the prism. Wow, that was so nice of them to give us this in parentheses. And remember, they do occasionally do this, depends on the exam and the problem. So this one, I think, straightforward, but it tells us, right, that volume is equal to base times height. So I know that the volume, it's 234 centimeters cubed, and it's equal to the base times the height, which I can get what that is from, because it's provided. So base times 9, and I am just asked for the base. So 234 divided by 9, and 26 is equal to the base. That was super simple, but I mean, these problems appear on SAT, and you want to be comfortable solving them. Okay, so next up we have the edge length in inches of cube y is 3/64 the edge length in inches of cube x. The surface area in square inches of cube y is n times the surface area in square inches of cube x. What is the value of n? Okay, so imagine we have a cube. And remember, cubes are not given to us in the formula sheet of the exam. Okay, so cube x, each of its, we're just gonna make it one. Do. And then we have cube y. Each of its edges are 3/64. Just a rough sketch. Okay, and then the surface area of cube y is n times the surface area. Okay, so if I want to find the surface area, important that you know this formula, surface area, it's 6 times area or side squared. So I would find like the area of a square, multiply it by 6 because there's 6 faces of a cube. So 6 times 1 squared, this is just 6. And if I do the surface area of cube y, it would be, make sure you square the top and bottom. So this would become 9 over 4,096. Which I can multiply this by 6 and make this 54 over 496. And dividing everything by 2, this would just simplify to 27 over 2048. Okay, so I can see that would be the surface area of cube y. And then I'm asked, it's n times the surface area of cube x. So now I can just set a ratio of the surface areas. So I can say the surface area of, we'll say cube y, to the surface area of cube x, which will be 27 over 248 divided by 6. So that would be the same as multiplying by 1/6. And then this would simplify to 27 over 2048 over 12,288. And then dividing everything by 3, it simplifies to 9 over 4,096, which looks exactly like correct answer choice A. And that makes sense because I can see that like cube y's surface area, it is that many times smaller, 9 over 4,096 times smaller than cube x's, which makes sense because its edge length was much smaller. Okay, amazing. Continuing our journey. Oh my goodness, what about this one? The length of the edge of the base of a right square prism is 6 units. The volume of the prism is 2,880 cubic units. What is the height of this prism? Okay, so a right square prism, it's just going to be, well, the face will be square. It's basically a rectangular prism. So imagine a rectangular prism. However, the bases are squares. Well, that's a rough sketch. Okay, I drew it better. So basically, I can see that the bases here, it's a square, and we have also a square here. Okay, amazing. So if normally in a rectangular solid, if I wanted to calculate the volume, it would be volume equals length times width times height. But here I can see the length and the height and the width are basically the same. So I have length, width, and height. So instead, this will basically just be, um, instead of length times width, just side squared multiplied by height. So if I know the edge of the base of a right square prism at 6, this is 6, and this is 6. So therefore, this would be 6 squared. The height I'm solving for, but I also know 22,880 is equal to 36h. And then I just need to divide each side by 36. Let's see what that is. Oh my goodness, and it is 80. Okay, so this is given to you on the exam, but good to know that a right square prism just means it's a similar to a rectangular prism, except the face will be have two squares. Wasn't it amazing? Okay, so next we have a rectangular region of land is divided into 88 square lots of equal area R in square units. The length of the region is 5.5 times the width of the region. If the width of the region is x root r units, what is the value of x? Okay, so if the area is divided into 88 square lots of equal area r, there's one, if I multiply 88 by the area r, this would be give me the area of the rectangular region of land. And it also says that this length of the rectangular region can be defined by the way I'm doing length times width, is 5.5 times the width. So the length would be 5.5 multiplied by x root r, because that's what the width is, multiplied by the width, which is x root r. So you see this would be my length and my width, it's x root r. So simplified, this would be 5.5 x squared times r. And then I have two formulas, therefore I can set them equal to each other. So this would just be 88r is equal to 5.5 x squared r. Divide out r. And I get 88 is equal to 5.5 x squared. Divide each side by 88 by 5.5. This will give me 16. And take the square root. And I get that x is equal to 4. And that is our answer. Wasn't that so amazing? Okay, so let's see. For a certain type of rope, the equation y equals 900, a x squared is a constant, gives the estimated breaking strength y in pounds of a rope with a circumference of x inches. Based on this equation, if a rope of this type has a circumference of 2.75 inches, it has an estimated breaking strength of 9,528.75 pounds. What is the estimated breaking strength in pounds of a rope that of this type that has a circumference of 7.5 inches? Okay, so first I'm just going to substitute in the break-in strength, 9,528.75 is equal to 900. A, and then my x would be 2.75 because that stands for the circumference, and then squared. In doing this, I'll be able to solve for what a is. So let's see, this would be 9,528.75 is equal to 900a, 7.5625 multiply by 100, 900. Okay, so this would be 6,806.25a. And then I'm going to divide each side by that. So 9,528.75 divided by 6,806.25. And that actually gives me exactly 1.4a. Okay, so now I use this information and I go back and I will plug that in for the a value. So this would be 1.4 now multiplied by x squared. I'm trying to find the breaking strength. Then I just do y equals 900, 1.4 multiplied by 7.5 squared inches, which gives me precisely, well, let's see, dirt. Oh my goodness, 70,875. And that would be our amazing answer. Okay, moving on. This one, the function r of t is defined by the given equation. The function s is defined by s of t is equal to r of t plus 1, which expression represents the maximum value of s of t. So first thing to recognize, this is a quadratic equation. Put differently, I can re-express this as r of t is equal to negative t squared plus 55t plus 0, just to show the ax squared plus bx plus c. And if I ever want to find the maximum, aka the vertex, the x-coordinate of the vertex, I can do h is equal to negative b divided by 2a. So in this case, it would be negative 55 divided by 2 times negative 2. So this would actually result in having a maximum x-coordinate at 55 over. So important, this is my x value, and I'm asked for the maximum value of s of t. So first I want to find out what the y value is at when x is at 55 fourths. So what I'll do is I'll put in 55 fourths, substitute that in for t. And then minus 255 fourths squared. And let's see what that gives us. So this would be 3025 over 4. 3025 divided by 4. This 2 would be this would be again, so like 2 multiplied by 3025 distribute to the top and the bottom, so over 16. And then well, just to show, this would then become, so 3025 over 4 minus 2 times 3025, so 6,050 over 16. Then we can also even reduce that further. So be 3025 over 4 minus 3025 over 8, find common denominator. Okay, so this will eventually simplify to 3015 over 8. Okay, which just means that my maximum value what it's at 55 over 4 over 3015 over 8. That's for the R of t function. Okay, and since I'm asked for R of t plus 1, so basically this just means that it's going to be shifted up 1 unit. The y value is going to shift up 1 unit. So what I'm going to do now is just take this and add in the 1. So I do 3015 plus 1, which is the same as 8 over 8, which will be 3023 over 8. Okay. Okay. But I'm actually overcomplicating because I can see that basically it's going to be this plus 1. And looking at how I was getting the maximum value, it eventually simplified to, well, we see 30 over 20, 3015 over 8, which I got from doing the subtraction here. So essentially, what was happening, if I look at this, it's 55 over 4 squared multiplied by 2. And then I added 1 to it. So just looking at before I took all these steps here, it would be this and then plus the 1 because it's the y coordinate that's being translated up 1 unit. So could have saved myself some time by just looking at that. But anyways, this is just one way in which they could test the minimum or maximum of the vertex. Okay, next up we have a quadratic model gives the predicted instantaneous rate of change in bacteria per hour of a bacteria population as a function of the population size. According to the model, the predicted instantaneous rate of change is 0 bacteria per hour for a population size of 0. And the maximum predicted instantaneous rate of change is 0.200 bacteria per hour for a population size of 7,000. Based on this model, what is the predicted instantaneous rate of change in bacteria per hour of the bacteria population for a population size of 700? Okay, so if you've seen my other videos, you've probably noticed doing a very similar question. Very similar, however, different numbers, but always here. So note here they give me a coordinate pair. This would be 0, 0. And they also say the maximum predicted instantaneous rate of change. So remember maximum, whenever you see maximum or minimum, that means the vertex HK of the parabola. So in this case, it says rate of change is 0.200, population size 7,000. So my X is 7,000 and my Y value rate of change is this. Okay, so whenever I'm given vertex form, it's y equals a x minus h squared plus k. This is vertex form. And I can always derive the equation of the quadratic if I have the vertex and I also have another pair of coordinates. And that's exactly what I'm going to do to get the quadratic model. So for x and y, I'm going to put in 0. My h value we established is 7,000. And my k value is at 0.2. Not sure why they put those extra zeros in. And let's see, so 7,000 squared is really quite large, which is a great problem to do on your calculator. Okay, so I would subtract, well, just to write the whole process out, this would be 49 million A and then plus 0.2. Subtract the 49 million from each side. And then I'm going to divide 0.2 by 49 million. Okay, so this is going to give me 4.0 approximately. A would be equal to negative 4.08 multiplied by 10 to the negative 9th power. So then going back to my original model, my A value is negative 4.08 times 10 to the negative ninth. And then we had x minus 7,000 squared, and then plus 0.2. So final step, I have the model, so I need to find what the bacteria population is for a size of 700. So now I'm going to plug this in for x. Mm. Do, 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 do. And then plus 0.2. And let's see what that gives me. Okay. And then we can see I just typed it into Desmos and negative 4.8 times 10 to the negative 9, 700 minus 700,000 squared plus 0.2 gives me the correct answer, 0.38. And that is what I would enter as my answer. Mm. So amazing. So let's continue our journey. Okay, so this one may look familiar to students. It's definitely from, well, the concept or problem. It's from a Blue Book exam. I feel like it's Blue Book exam 3 or 4. It's not the same problem. It's almost pretty identical, but if you don't know it, it's a great problem to do. And also, it's a great problem to demonstrate that it is a really good idea once you feel confident with your skills in algebra, advanced advanced math, problem solving, and data analytics and trig to go through all the Blue Book exams before you take the SAT. But anyways, let's jump in. So here I have the quadratic. It says in the given quadratic function, a and c are constants, the graph of y equals f of x in the xy plane is a parabola that opens upward and has a vertex at the point hk, where h and k are constants. Okay. And then it says blah, blah, blah. If k is less than 0 and f of 8 is equal to 2, which of the following must be true? Okay, so where would this actually occur on a parabola? Like where the x values are equivalent to each other. And so since I know like the points of x, so let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, -8, this is +2. It doesn't necessarily have to be the x intercepts, like maybe it's here, maybe it's here. But I do know that it seems like A is positive, so it will open up. Just to show, the vertex is always equidistance between the two x values that are equal to each other. So basically, the distance between -8 plus 2, when I divide that by 2, finding the midpoint, that will give me the vertex, aka the x value of the vertex, which is -3. Okay, so the vertex of the parabola will be around -3. And this is because this is the axis of symmetry. Parabolas are symmetrical. And now I know the line of symmetry and the x value of the vertex. Okay, so now that I know that, what I'm going to do is use that information and plug it into vertex form. So here be x plus 3 squared plus k. And then I'm going to expand to put it into standard form. Do, 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 do. So this would become x squared plus 6x plus 9 plus k. And this would be ax squared plus 6ax plus 9a plus k. Remember, it says it was equal to this equation. Do, 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 do. Okay, so I can see, right, 6a would correlate to the b value. So I know 6a is equal to 4. Therefore, a is equal to 2/3. So a is greater than or equal to 1, not true. Discard any answer that contains 1. Likewise, I know the c value here would correlate to 9a plus k is equal to c. And we can go ahead and substitute in the a from here. So 9 times 2/3 plus k is equal to c. So this will be 6 plus k is equal to c. So k is equal to c minus 6. And also in the problem, I'm told k is less than 0. I know k is equal to c minus 6, so I can say c minus 6 is less than 0. So c is less than 6. So must be true. It's not less than 0. It's less than 6. Also not true. So therefore, I can safely deduce that this is a neither 1 or 2. Oh my goodness, how amazing. Okay, next up. Ooh, equivalent expressions, SAT classic. Okay, so the expression 54y to the fifth power minus 36y to the fourth is equivalent to ry to the fourth, 9y minus 6, where r is a constant. What is the value of r? So here, I want to try to make the left-hand side look a bit more like the right-hand side. So Um, let's see if I'm able to factor out 9y minus 6 from here. I can do that. Do, dee, 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 dee. Okay, so this would be the same if I were to factor out 6y to the fourth, right? Because if this would be the same as 54, y to the fifth power, and this would be minus 36y to the fourth. And then, just to show, I can divide each side by 9y minus 6. And then I get 6y to the fourth equals ry to the fourth. Divide each side by y to the fourth, but I can see that 6 is equal to r. So an amazing equivalent expression problem, but, focusing on factoring. So be sure you feel comfortable with factoring. Okay, a little bit more. So these problems also always come up on almost every single SAT exam. Make sure you feel comfortable doing them if they're just rearranging equations. So here I'm told the given equation relates to positive numbers b, x, and y. Which equation correctly expresses x in terms of b and y? Okay, so basically, oops, I have everything. I want everything in terms of x. So basically, if I multiply each side by y, that will put everything in terms of x. So very simple, straightforward, but do. Um, that correlates to YB minus 72y. I mean, just be careful with these ones to not make any careless mistakes, because it looks like all of the trap answers are in place in case you're not careful, but should be D. Okay, continuing on. Okay, so these ones also appear on every single SAT exam for the most, well, almost. Which system of linear equations has no solution? So remember, no solution means that the lines parallel lines, which means that they have the same slope. Important, y-intercept needs to be different. And that's gonna be a trap. The answers that do not have a different y-intercept. So important component. So A, because if you look at A, I can be like, oh, I can multiply everything here by -1. And this becomes, negative 5x plus 9y equals -8. And I can be like, oh my goodness, the slope is the same. No, it's exactly the same line, same line. It's infinite solutions. So A is definitely a trap. Always look out for these. When there's the same slope, same y-intercept, it's infinite solution. So go ahead, discard option A. Also, I'm doing a quick scan of the answer choices, and when I look at C, it's exactly the same. If I multiply everything here by -3, I get that it is -15x plus 27y equals -24. So again, we have infinite solutions. So it's most certainly must be option option B or D. Okay, so B, to like, I would prefer to just put them in terms of y equals mx plus b so we can see clearly the slope. So example, this would just be negative 9y equals negative 5x plus 8. When we simplify, it becomes y equals positive 5 ninths x minus 8 ninths. And this line here, I'll put over here, be 10y equals negative 6x plus 9. Divide everything by 10, so y equals negative 6 tenths. I can stop there because I can see the slopes aren't equal to each other, so can't be b. Therefore, our winner must be option D. And I mean, this one you could see clearer because I can just multiply everything by, or imagine too, like if I divide this by 2, this would simplify to, well, let's divide it by negative 2. So it'd be negative 5x um, plus 9y, but it's equal to negative 8. So if I were to rearrange it, which I'm just going to do it for learning purposes here, this would be 9y equals positive 5x plus 8. So I get y is equal to 5 ninths x plus 8 ninths. And this one here rearranged, same thing. 9y equals 5x minus 8. And so y is equal to 5 ninths x minus 8 ninths. They do have a different y-intercept. And I can see that the slopes are indeed the same. So therefore, can safely choose option D. But just be careful with these ones. Do not choose the infinite solutions value. Okay, another classic. So just for those of you that are deep into the SAT math, this one might not be super challenging. However, it is considered hard and they are on almost every single SAT exam. So if the given system of equations, P is constant, if the system has no solution, what is the value of P? So remember, no solution, linear equation. Again, it's parallel lines, and parallel lines always have the same slope. And for this one, I'm going to rearrange everything in terms of y. So this would just be 14/8 y is equal to 5/8 x plus 4/7. And this one here, I'll rearrange here. This would be like py is equal to 5/4 x, and then would be 5/4 x minus 8/4, which is just 2. And then, okay, so d. And then divide everything by p. So this would just be y is equal to 5/4 px minus like 2/p. And then also here, I should simplify, multiply everything by the reciprocal. So, but I'm really only going to concern myself with the slope here. So this would be 40. And then 14 times 8 over 112, which I can reduce everything by 8 again, which seen more clearly, I could just like cancel the 8s. This is just y is equal to 5/14 x, plus 4/7 times 8 times 14. Okay, so then slopes, now I just take the two slopes, 5/14 is equal to 5/4 p. And then this would be, 20p is equal to 70. So p is equal to 7/2 or 3.5. And that's the answer. How amazing. So just be sure that you feel really confident with these problems on the exam. Remember, they're on almost every SAT exam, so know them, love them, and know what to do when you see them on the exam. Okay, and then on the other end of the spectrum, we could have a question like this. So in the given equation, s and r are constant and s is greater than 0. If the equation has infinitely many solution, what is the value of s? So remember, I already established infinite solutions. If they're linear, that means they have same slope, same y-intercept, aka they're the same equation. Okay, so then, so I would say, like, first, just simplify this, divide everything by 4. So it'll become 3x plus 7 minus 7 over, or s 13ths is equal to r x minus 8. I'm gonna go ahead and expand though. So this would be Rx minus 8R. Okay, why am I doing that? Because I can see that the 3 would correspond to R. So then it's like, okay, so R for sure equals 3. So then I can put this in here, and this would be like equals to -8 times 3, -24. So basically, I'm going to say -24 will be equal to the other part of the equation, which would be 7 minus s over 13. This is an s. Don't confuse it with a 5. So then I'm just going to do -s over 13 is equal to subtract, oops, 24 minus 7 is a -31, and then multiply each side by 13. So negative s is equal to -403. And then just multiply each side by -1, do. So positive s is equal to 403. So that would be the answer, 403. So wasn't that amazing? Okay, so then you could have problems like this where you need to create your own equation. So be comfortable creating your own equation. So this one, a certain blue whale calf weighed 55,600 pounds when it was born, and its weight increased at an average rate of 250 pounds per day for the first n days after birth, when n is an integer. If the calf's weight was greater than 8,850 pounds, but less than 9,850 pounds, n days after the birth, what is one possible value of n? Okay, so let's see. The weight after n days, that would just be, so it's increasing standard. It's like y-intercept when it was born, initial value. It's 5,600, and its average rate of change, like the slope, would be 250 n plus 5,600. So for each day, it will gain like 250 pounds per day. And then it's always going to have that initial value, what it was born at 5,600 pounds. And then it tells me that this is in between. It's greater than this, 8,850, but it is less than 9,850 pounds. And then I just want to solve to get for one possible value of n. So what we do in solving inequalities, subtract 5,600 from each side of the inequality. So this will simplify to 3,250. 3,250 is less than 250 n, and 9,850 minus 5,600, it's 4,250. And then my final thing to do would be divide everything by 250. And when I do that, I get that this is n, and 4, 2, 5, 50, 17, and it has to be, so it's n is greater than 13, but less than 17. So the possible values that you could type in for n would be 14, 15, or 16. Do not type in all of them, choose one of them and just type them into the response. Okay, next up, this one, a linear module. A linear module estimates of the population of a city from 1995 to 2019. The model estimates that the population was 59,000 in 1995, 217,000 in 2015, and X thousand in 2000 or 2019. To the nearest whole number, what is the value of? Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this one we need to think um, between 1995 to 2019, how many years have passed? 24. And from 1995 to 2015, there's 20 years that have passed. Just to show, because we are starting the population in 1995. So there's a couple ways to go about it, but I like to address it like in 1995, um, X would be at 0 because it's the starting point, and the Y value is at 59,000. Then we have in 2015, the population. In 2015, that's 20 years later. So that would be 20 for 20 years, and the population is 217,000. And then with this information, I can use the big classic slope formula. So let's do that to find the slope. So it'd be 217,000 minus 59,000 over 20 minus 0, which is 158,000 divided by 20, which simplifies to 7,900. So my slope would be y equals 7,900x, where y equals mx plus b. And then my b value, it is the x-intercept or the starting population, which would be 59,000. And then I want to know what the population was in 2019. So in 2019, just to show my X value that I'm putting in here, it would be 24, right? For the 24 years that have passed. And this blank is what I'm solving for. So I'm gonna now go ahead and solve. So y equals 7,900 multiplied by 24 plus 59,000. And this will give me 189,600. And then I add in the 59,000. And y is equal to 248,600. And be careful, always go back and read the question because it says to the nearest whole number, what is the value of x? So to the nearest whole number, this would round to, so be 249,000. So in the blank, I would just type 249. Because you see in the problem how it puts 59,000, 217,000. This I have to round up to 249, and that would be the answer. Okay, so guys, those are the predictions I have for November. I think you'll see very similar questions on the exam. Be sure to check out all my other videos. I've listed them below. Because if you watched my how accurate were my October predictions to the actual exam, you can see that some of the questions from October did appear in my other exam prediction videos, such as August and June and May. So make sure you watch all of those if you really want to, feel confident going into the exam this Saturday if you are taking it this Saturday. And thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, doubts, if you like the video, and like, rate, and subscribe if you like this, you want me to keep making more. The more likes and subscribers I have, the more videos I can make. Okay, thank you, everyone. Good luck on your exam.